Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I paint a pen and wash study of some little cottages in Burnham Market, North Norfolk. Well, there is the simple sketch that I produced using the pen and wash method. I used a permanent ink pen as a Faber-Castell fine nib pen. I used medium size brush that points. It's actually a Japanese lining brush, but I was given that. They are on the market. I used 4 basic colours from a manufacturer that supplied these paints to me, and I'm not sure they are available at the moment in the UK, but anyway, you can get them in any same colours in most makes. I used yellow ochre, I used sap green, I used a crimson red, and I used a violet to produce that picture. As simple as that. Well, when you're looking to produce an ink drawing with no pencil work, first thing you need to do is to lay out, particularly with buildings, the basic shape. So it's the outside edges that are the most important. After that, you get the depth against the road in the foreground, and it's not until you've completed this part that it's time to start thinking about detail. Now the main building is in, I can look at either side, starting with the left hand side, where in actual fact it's a building that's fairly large building, but the key to it is that you don't let it dominate the small cottage in the foreground. Produce there again the outside edges, and once those are drawn in, then you can start really looking at concentrating on 1 or 2 details, chimneys, windows and the like. The chimneys are interesting, always are. We can see the front of the chimneys plus a small area to the right, because we're slightly offset to the right hand side of the chimneys. Make certain that you get the slope down the right hand side quite severe. Now I'm going to add colour to this simple pen drawing, and I'm only got a handful. Well, I've got 4 colours. These are colours that I don't very often use, well I think never use on my general landscapes, but I thought I'd test them out, test myself as well, mainly because I had them given to me, so I thought, well, we may as well use them. I've got yellow ochre, crimson red, sap green, and I've also got a violet. Now I started off using the violet, stronger in the right hand side, working lighter down to the lower area. Then I added yellow ochre, and I want to get a more orangey glow in the distance, plus a little bit more of an orangey feel to the top right hand side. Now I'm going straight in after that. Should really have let it dry a touch, but I like to see a bit of growing of the colour, and that's what I will be getting here. Obviously start off with the roof and the chimney. I've used the crimson this time, and I've added a touch of the yellow ochre, varying degrees of that, some a little bit more, some a little bit less. Tried to create a darker colour, stronger, richer colour on the pantiles of the small building, less so either side and to the rear. I've also used that colour for the brick surrounds coming down both the right and left hand front areas, corners of the small build, and also around the traditional Norfolk brick around the windows and doors. Now I'm going to give the building a little bit of ground, a little bit of something to sit on. And for this, I used the sap green mixed with yellow ochre to start with. And I created the 3 clumps of bushes that are standing up in the front of the building. I didn't want any major detail. They're just more or less round clumps, I suppose. Well, not round, but domed sort of clumps. But they're all different. That's the key. Make everyone different. You can even put some spiky bits if you wish. But overall, a little bit of greenery in the front. A little bit of, not lawn, but edging along the front, and also down to the side of the left hand building. Then as I've come into the foreground, I've used a bit of yellow, more or less where the path is, and then right in the foreground I've used sap green, more or less, you know, without any yellow in there. And I've tried to get a stronger colour as I've come forward, because that will throw the foreground forward, but also to get that strong colour and the feeling of depth in that foreground grass, I actually put some crimson red in. Just drop that in, because that gives it an earthy feel. Red and greens, obviously complementary colours, don't mix them too much. But in this case, I wanted the feeling of a little bit of earth in the foreground, just to bring the foreground forward. Next, I wanted a grey for the frontage, which is more or less flint really, and that was achieved with a mix of all 4 colours in varying proportions. A bit more of the violet, because I wanted that they're more of a grey stone, but other than that I painted that all in. I did touch in the chimneys as well, but keep the tone on the frontage of the small build very light, because we've got lots of sun shining on the front of that. Well, I think most of you know that my favourite part of any painting, whether it's a full-blown watercolour or a small sketch like this really, is the shadow work. Now, the tone of that shadow is important, colour's important, but of course most important is where you put it. Now, what I did there again, I mixed all three colours together. I used a lot more of the violet and the crimson, but the yellow ochre was also required as the third element, because it really did need to be sort of like a blue-grey really. And I started with chimney, and the gable end on the left, that was still damp, so it came up lighter, which was a benefit really. It's ideal. Then I did the overhanging roof line, make certain you make that deep enough. Also did the window glazings. It's important that you put those in, and then I painted the window reveal, the shadow from the reveal, because the sun's coming from the left. These windows are set back slightly on buildings. Even if they're not set back, I always give them a little bit of shadow because it just enhances the feel of a window. Then did a little bit of shadow work in the backgrounds, either side of the cottage, the central cottage, and also a little bit onto the greenery, the bit of hedging that rides up onto the front of the cottage. Then was this lovely foreground shadow. Now, a lot of people say to me regarding foreground shadows, why put them in? Well, I just feel they needed that little bit extra fill of light. Now, it is bright, it is light, but I wanted the building to take the interest and the light and tone back a bit of this foreground, particularly on the left. Not so much on the right, in fact, not on the right at all. So I swept a small shadow across the side, the lower part of the left-hand building, run out of picture, across the road and into the foreground area, right the way down to the immediate foreground. Now that, I did just lift it away a touch because it was running a little bit over wet, but the end result, once dry, I hope you'll agree, will actually benefit the whole picture. And we're almost there, apart from those few small finishing touches. A little bit of lining on the pavement in front of the building, one or two little edges that needed just sharpening up. But other than that, it's birds in the sky and we're done. Sign up then. I'm going to sign up with the pen. As you can see, I'm just putting one or two little bits of a flint detail on the front. I'm going to sign up. As you can see from the whole picture, the sky in particular, it's bled. The sky has bled. The roof has bled up into the sky, but I'm not worried. It's the free looseness of the work that really counts, and that's what makes it a nice little sketched watercolour.